Good evening. This is the Durham District School Board meeting of Monday, June 19th. This meeting is called to order. As a settler on this land and in the spirit of truth and reconciliation, I will give the land acknowledgement. The Durham District School Board acknowledges that many Indigenous nations have long-standing relationships, both historic and modern, with the territories upon which our school board and schools are located. Today, this area is home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island. We acknowledge that the Durham region forms a part of the traditional and treaty territories of the Mississaugas, the Scugog Island First Nations, the Mississaugas peoples, and the treaty territory of the Chippewas of Georgina Islands First Nation. It is on these ancestral and treaty lands that we teach, learn, and live. Just before we go into O Canada, I would like to inform trustees that this evening and going forward we'll be adhering to bylaw 5.12.5 regarding speaking to motions and the time limitations to ensure that business of the board can be completed in a timely manner. The bylaw states that the mover of a motion shall be given first opportunity to speak. A member who has not spoken in a debate has preference and recognition to speak over a member who has already spoken, and a board meetings, each member may speak twice, up to 4 minutes on the first occasion and 2 minutes on the second occasion on each debatable motion. The board may consider extending or limiting the time for debate at the commencement of the board meeting or in any given motion in accordance with the provision of Robert's Rules of Order. Staff are going to be sharing this, screen sharing a timer that will appear so that we can all monitor our speaking time. So at this time, I will ask Ajax trustee Kelly Miller to introduce Cataraqui Public School Choir.
Please join me in thanking Cataraqui Public Schools primary and junior choir for their recorded performance this evening. Members of this choir range from grades 1 to 6 and are led by Alicia Gavaru and Christos Caldas. In addition to O Canada, the Caddy Choir will be singing an inspirational song called I Am a Small Part of the World, composed by Sally Kay, Albrecht, and Jay Althouse. The message of this song is that with the help from others, we can do anything we set our minds to. These singers have worked very hard this year and are looking forward to singing this song at their school's grade 8 graduation ceremony later this month.
If you're able, please stand.
Cattle grass,
Thank you to Cataraqui Public School Choir. That is what we do and why we do it. We have, just before we go on to the rest of the agenda, we have some special guests joining us this evening. I would like to warmly welcome the newly elected and re-elected student trustees for 2023, the 2024 term. We have for Pickering Ajax, of course, we have the re-elected student trustee for second term, Ben Cameron. For Oshawa Whitby, we have Neha Kazajo. I think that's how I say it. For Brock Uxbridge Skugog, we have Kayla Orr, who's sitting in our gallery. Thank you. We are all looking forward as a Board of Trustees to working with you next year. Congratulations and see you in September. Moving on to declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest? Hearing none, there are no declarations of interest stated at this time. Moving on to the adoption of the agenda. Trustee Cunningham has asked to have a PD request added to the agenda at this time, and it is a time-sensitive matter, so I'm adding it to the recommended actions item as item 12G. So can I have a motion to approve the revised agenda? Trustee Miller, Trustee Thompson, all those in favor? Opposed? That motion is carried. The agenda is adopted as revised. Moving on to the sets of minutes. We have several sets of minutes, and I'm going to do it, try to combine some of the motions. The first is that we have approved minutes of the regular board meeting of the 17th of May, and the approved minutes of the special board meeting of May 1st. Actually, two approved minutes of two different times. So can I have a motion to receive the minutes of the regular board meetings of April 17th and the special board meetings of May 1st? Thank you. Trustee Cunningham, Trustee Arsenault, seconder, all those in favor? Opposed? That motion, those minutes have carried. Have been received, sorry. Now we have moving on, we have three sets of draft minutes that are in your package. Draft minutes for the regular board meeting of May 15th and the continuation of the May 15th, the regular board meeting that was held on May 23rd, and the draft minutes of the special board meeting of June 5th. So can I have a motion to approve the draft minutes of the regular board meeting of May 15th and the continuation meeting that was held on May 23rd and the special board meeting of June 5th? Trustee Cunningham, Trustee Thatcher. I should ask, is there any questions before I ask all in favor? But any questions on the minutes? No? Okay, then all those in favor? Opposed? Those minutes are carried. Okay, we're moving on to item number 7, ministry memorandums and update. So I will call upon Director Camille Williams-Taylor to provide us updates on any memorandums from the ministry.
Thank you, Chair, and through you, I offer this as a director's update this evening. First, let me begin this update with offering condolences to Pine Ridge Secondary School community as they tragically lost one of their own in the community over the weekend. As we enter the final weeks of 2022-2023 school year, it's important to recognize the significant dedication, hard work, and perseverance of all Durham District School Board students and staff throughout the year. I hope that everyone in the Durham District School Board community finds time to reflect on the achievements over the year, celebrate the transitions of students and staff through commencement, graduation, promotion, or retirement, and appreciate the challenges faced and the hardships overcome as we anticipate a more relaxed rhythm in the summer months ahead. Just casting our eyes backwards and our thoughts backwards to the last couple of weeks, a few resonating events. The Student Art Gallery opening took place here at the Education Center last week, June 13th. The collection of artwork created and curated by students in grades 7 to 12 with staff support showed incredible talent and creativity. The theme of this year's gallery is cultivating a connected community, and artists were encouraged to showcase their unique perspectives when creating. On June 14th, we saw 150 Indigenous students in grades 4 to 8 from across the Durham District School Board coming together for Indigenous Student Celebration Day. Students were invited to attend 3 breakout sessions of their choice from subjects including Anishinaabe wellness, drum teachings, land-based learning, food sustainability, sewing stewardship, spoons and jigging, Métis teachings, and decolonizing and taking positive space on social media. All delivered by Indigenous educators, storytellers, elders, and other special guests. On June 15th, in partnership with autistic staff, students, and community members, we raised the Rainbow Infinity flag at the Education Center. The flag raising recognized Autistic Pride Day, observed annually on June 18th. This day was founded by autistic advocates to celebrate autistic identity and ways of being. It is important that we continue to listen and learn from those people who identify as autistic. As a symbol of neurodiversity, the Rainbow of Infinity flag signifies the strength of the diversity of autistic people and the infinite variations of who people are. On the evening of June 15th, the annual retirement event took place in Oshawa. I was honored to be a part of recognizing the service of more than 350 staff from across the Durham District School Board who will retire this year and begin the next phase of their lives. On June the 16th, the annual Abilities Track and Field Meet took place at Oshawa Civic Recreational Complex. This event celebrates equity, inclusion, and athletic success for students of all abilities. The day began with participants repeating the athlete's oath, and it should be an oath for all of us. More powerful than the will to win is the courage to begin. Students, athletes from across DDSB competed in a variety of track and field events throughout the day, including long jump, shot put, and ball throw. Family, friends, and staff gathered to cheer these students on. We're well underway with our consultation to gather feedback towards the development of our new multi-year strategic plan, and later this evening a detailed update report will be presented. The multi-year strategic plan acts as a compass that guides collective actions for ongoing student-centered improvement. All DDSB community members are encouraged to get involved and to contribute to the conversation on the values, priorities, and strategic direction that are important to them. More information about the multi-year strategic plan process, including the consultation surveys, is available on the DDSB website. And finally, in the coming days, we will be celebrating completion events for senior kindergarten, grade 8, and grade 12. Every ending means a recognition of a milestone and an anticipation of a new chapter. We congratulate our graduates and offer best wishes to all students and families, a positive end to the school year, and for those leaving the Durham District School Board, we wish you continued success on the road ahead. Chair, that's all for my update.
Thank you, Director. We're now moving on to the public question period, which is item 8. Each question being asked this evening will be displayed on screen, along with its response from staff. Questioners joining virtually are reminded to ask only their approved question. We have allocated up to 30 minutes for the public question period, and a timer will be visible for all participants. All approved questions, along with their corresponding answers from staff, will be posted on the DDSB website following this meeting. All questions submitted for public question period will be shared with trustees following the meeting. All approved questions and their corresponding responses will be posted on the DDSB website. So I would like to first invite our first question from Dylan Reynolds, and he will be asking the question virtually.
Good evening, everybody.
Hello, Dylan. Please ask your question.
All right, my question tonight is about the cyber incident. Back in November and December, there was a cyber incident that took place that caused the internet and the entire DDSB network to go offline. Since then, what were the impacts from the cyber incident, and what were the steps taken to prevent a similar incident from happening again?
Thank you, Dylan, for that question. I will ask Associate Director Wright for the answer the question. Thank you.
Thanks, Dylan, for the question. You're correct. In November 2022, a cyber incident corrupted DDSB production systems to a non-recoverable state. DDSB isolated the network and deployed an external cybersecurity team that was provided by our insurance provider. And after the initial investigation, DDSB rebuilt the board infrastructure from its non-immutable backups. The network was decontaminated, an XDR solution was deployed prior to opening the network for regular business. DDSB has since engaged a managed security operations center that has already detected, blocked, and neutralized multiple attacks like the one we saw in November. The Security Operations Center provides 24/7 cybersecurity monitoring to DDSB. Our IT team will continue to implement various modern technologies for security to protect students, staff, and data as required.
I do have a supplemental question as well.
Yes, Dylan, I was going to ask if you had a clarification based on the response.
Well, the major cyber incident was the one big thing, but many Chromebooks were offline. My Chromebook, for example, was one of the lucky ones that didn't go offline because I didn't log out of it. But I was saying that I'm wondering if this was detected a lot sooner. I'm wondering what would have been a different outcome.
Go ahead.
Kind of a difficult question, Dylan. Certainly we wish we'd seen it earlier. Unfortunately, individuals that engage in this type of action are pretty good at covering their tracks. So tough to say what would have been the case. I think with our new Security Operations Center, we are able to detect any potential or attempted cyber breaches like the one we saw. And now that we are able to see them, we're able to stop them. So I think that's the highlight of the story.
Well, before I leave, I do want to acknowledge the shooting that took place. My school is deeply heartbroken with the shooting that took place yesterday. My school's heart and all our hearts go out to the families that were impacted by the shooting and the students at my school, at Pioneer Secondary as well.
Thank you, Dylan, for your question, and have a happy summer.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next question. I would now like to ask Executive Lead Kathy Winsorow to read the question submitted by Allison Vlad.
Thank you, Chair. Since the Black community has been oppressed for over 600 years and continue to be victimized by the color of our skin, which cannot be hidden, when will our community receive the same level of celebration with year-round recognition, with things such as painting the sidewalk, raising the Pan-African flag, changing school regulations to reflect our community, changing colors for DDSB logo, creating BLM art, and displaying it throughout the schools, teaching Black history year-round and learning about slavery and the people who were tortured, stolen, and killed, all because of the color of their skin. As other communities are recognized in other ways, I would like to know why one specific community not only gets their flag raised, but continues to have multiple forms of recognition through the year, while only recognizing other communities briefly on specific days.
I will ask Associate Director Jim McCrafty to respond to the question.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, the DDSB has outlined its commitments and responsibilities to recognize and address all forms of discrimination, including anti-Black racism in its human rights, anti-discrimination, and anti-racism policy and related procedures. Additionally, the DDSB's Compendium of Action for Black Student Success articulates commitments and actions to specifically address anti-Black racism and its impacts. A report came forward in February that was prepared by members of our Anti-Black Racism Action Committee that highlighted this work. Acknowledging one group's rights and experiences of discrimination does not take away from or diminish the importance of another group's rights and experiences. It's not accurate to suggest that there is more recognition for one group over another. The number, length, and perceived prominence of provincial, national, international, and religious days and months of significance and how they're recognized can vary for many reasons. We strive to take intersectional approaches to the work of anti-discrimination and anti-oppression. For example, during Pride Month, we raised the Progress Pride flag, which recognizes the unique intersectional experiences of and historical and ongoing discrimination against racialized people who are also members of the 2S LGBTQI community. We work to raise awareness of and prevent all forms of discrimination, including anti-Black racism and intersectional discrimination, throughout the year, and not only on days or months of significance. Thank you.
Thank you for the response. And again, I would like to ask Executive Lead Kathy Withrow to read the next question submitted by Barbara Eschpeter.
Thank you, Chair. Barbara's question is, what is the teacher absenteeism rate for the 2022 to 2023 school year, and how does it compare to the 2019-2020 school year?
Again, I will ask Associate Director Wright to respond to the question. Thanks.
Thank you. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, schools were closed as of the third week of March 2020, and shortly thereafter, lockdown protocols greatly restricted travel. And because of this, absence data is significantly skewed downward for the 1920 school year. Data from 2018-19 shows that average number of days teachers were absent was about 14.75. We don't have complete information for 22-23 for comparison purposes at this point, as we are not yet through the end of the school year. However, at this point in time, it does look like the number of days teachers will have been absent by the end of the year has increased.
Thank you for that response. And I'll now again ask Executive Lead Kathy Withrow to read the question submitted by Devin McDonald.
Thank you, through the chair. The DDSB ventilation measures report indicates that the board's ventilation strategy includes monitor and verify, complete a system ventilation check in every building, recalibrate systems to optimize airflow within each building. DDSB Facilities Services Management have confirmed that calibration and verification did transpire on building systems throughout the board. Yet a search conducted by the board in response to an FOI request for measurements taken during the calibration and verification process is says to have yielded no responsive records relevant to the request. I'm hoping the Board of Trustees will be able to clarify. Have any measurements relating to ventilation been taken?
Thank you. And again, I will ask Associate Director David Wright to respond to this question.
Thank you. This question has been asked multiple times in different forums, including through email to a number of different staff members. The answer being provided this evening is consistent with the previous answers provided. Building ventilation systems are designed to the engineering standards current to the time of building construction. These systems are commissioned, verified, and controlled by a building automation system. During ongoing operations, the controls department verifies operation through the live building automation system for all HVAC systems in schools. No documentation is generated as the work is live on the BAS system. For our few pneumatically controlled HVAC systems, a contractor has been hired to verify mechanical operation and provide system drawings with handwritten adjustments made for COVID protocols. Systems continue to be monitored live via the BAS, as well as on-site daily through our lead custodians. We respond to and follow up on any alarms or conditions that may impact ventilation within our buildings as required.
Thank you for that response. And that concludes our public question period. And so we'll move on to agenda item 9, report for the Committee of the Whole in camera. I call upon Chair of Standing, Trustee Thatcher, to give the report.
Thank you, and through you, Chair Edwards. The board approved the actions of the Committee of the Whole in camera and adopted the motions made at the Committee of the Whole in camera meeting as follows. The disclosure of intimate, personal, and financial information in respect of a member of the board or committee, an employee or prospective employee of the board, or a pupil, or his or her parent or guardian, administrative transfers and placement, personnel issues, and property matters. Chair Edwards, this is my report. I move that the board approve the actions and adopt any resolutions of the June 19th, 2023 in-camera meeting.
Okay, Trustee Thatcher has moved a motion to that the report of the Committee of the Whole be camera will be approved and the actions. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Trustee Cunningham. Any questions, comments on the motion? On the motion of the report? No? Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. Trustee Piniello, did you have a question about process?
It was just more so a point of clarification. So for the last question that was answered, I just wanted clarification. I don't understand. So the BAS system, it's a live monitoring system, but it doesn't actually track any data. I just wanted clarification on that. I didn't understand the response that we can't produce a report based on, let's say, the air was bad with the fires last week, but we wouldn't have a report that has the levels of the air quality indoors based on that. You're saying that it's just an alarm system when something goes above or below a certain threshold?
Trustee Piniello, just so you know, when it comes to question period, that questions are supposed to be basically asked and answered by the public, and that's where it stands. At this point in time, I will allow, but I won't allow in future meetings as far as additional, if you have additional questions, you can ask the superintendent or the associate director after the meeting or through other means at this point in time. Associate Director Wright.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks, Trustee Piniello. So yes, essentially it's a live monitoring system. It doesn't collect and report out data, monitoring data or air quality data. And just a point about the air quality last week, all of our schools are equipped with MERV 13 filters. So they did a really good job of filtering out the particulate matter. Can't filter out the smells, but the air quality within schools would have been significantly better than outside. And we do have HEPA filters available in almost all of our classroom spaces. And we did send out a note from the system requesting teachers turn those on just to add a little extra level of filtration. Thanks.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 10, good news from the system. I am going to pass it on to Director Camille Williams-Taylor.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, we will see the video run on the screen outlining some really good news over the last month in our Durham District School Board system.
Good evening, everyone. On behalf of DDSB students and staff, we are happy to bring you good news from across the system.
The Durham District School Board and Oshawa Fire Department proudly shared that Mary, a grade 6 student at Vincent Massey Public School, has been announced as the 2023 Junior Fire Chief. Mary's award-winning video on the importance of smoke alarms and developing a home escape plan makes her outstanding Junior Fire Chief. Congratulations, Mary.
Yuliana Tachenko, a grade 6 student at Jean Sauvé Public School, has been recognized for her exceptional submission in Ontario Schools Cricket Association contest. Yuliana's essay won her an honorable mention award. Her essay explored how cricket began in England and gradually became more popular in Commonwealth Canada. In fact, cricket was the most popular sport in Canada until the turn of the 20th century, and Canada's first Prime Minister, Sir John A. Macdonald, even named it Canada's national sport. As time passed, Canada's interest in basketball and hockey took over. However, as more immigrants came into Canada from countries such as India and Pakistan in the 21st century, cricket began to increase in popularity we see today. Congratulations, Juliana.
As part of EB Finn's public school pro grant activities last month, parents, guardians, and students gathered on a sunny Sunday morning to assemble cinnamon buns. The school community was excited to be joined by Mrs. Beach, a longtime volunteer and cooking instructor for the city of Pickering. Everyone put on their baking hats and aprons to make some deliciously gooey treats for their families. At the end of the day, students took home the cinnamon buns and put them in the freezer before defrosting them and baking them the following week in honor of Mother's Day.
Each September and October, students show their willingness and ability to support members of our community by helping to find a cure for cancer. This year, DDSB schools from across the district managed to raise an incredible $266,860 for a Terry Fox Foundation. Congratulations to our students and staff for continuing Terry Fox's dream of finding a cure for cancer.
Former student Yusuf Herji was an exceptionally skilled soccer player, and it was his wish that as many students as possible could have an opportunity to enjoy playing this game. Pine Ridge Secondary School hosts an annual soccer tournament in Yusuf's name, with all funds raised going to Yusuf Herji's Memorial Bursary, awarded each year to graduating students at Pine Ridge who have shown positivity and leadership in the face of adversity.
This year's theme for the Durham Partner Symposium was Fostering Resilience in Children, Supporting Mental Health and Social Well-Being. On May 27th, staff, students, parents, and community members joined Olympian, world champion, author, and TV host Perdita Felician, who explored what it means to chase a dream and overcome the hurdles life can put before you. Guests also had the pleasure of listening to therapist, comedian, and published author Natasha Halliday as she shared how to foster and build resilience and demonstrated how we can grow through adversity. Family counselor and TV personality Allison Schaffer discussed how to navigate emotions to improve mental health and well-being, enabling us to parent effectively. Thank you to everyone who joined this motivational day.
The Durham District School Board held its annual Student Recognition Night at St. Clair Secondary School to celebrate the achievements of outstanding students. Each secondary school within the DDSB was represented by 3 students who have been nominated by the school staff for their significant contributions to the school community, the positive influence they've had on their peers, or the remarkable efforts to excel in the face of adversity. Congratulations to this year's Student Recognition Night recipients.
On May 17th, celebrations occurred at schools throughout the board as they raised the Progress Pride flag in solidarity to mark the International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia. Staff and students joined together to celebrate inclusion and continue building a community where everyone knows they belong.
Students throughout the DDSB gathered at the Education Center on June 1st for the annual GSA Gay Straight Alliance Conference. At the conference, guests celebrated this year's theme, Unity in the Community. Returning for another year, Shawnee welcomed students as the 2023 keynote speaker. Shawnee is an Indigenous Two-Spirit singer/songwriter who empowers youth through her music. This event invites active students in their school's GSA to participate in this educational gathering featuring guest speakers and interactive workshops.
More than 400 students in grades 7 to 10 attended the Cypher, Black Male Empowerment Conference held at Durham College. Cypher provides Black male students with an opportunity to engage with a wide range of entrepreneurs, community leaders, educators, and Black male role models to explore various academic and career pathways. Students are immersed in a space of Black male brilliance to propel their desires to achieve their full potential. The keynote address was delivered by DDSB graduate and Grammy Award-winning producer Boy Wanda, who works with Drake, Rihanna, and other Black role models.
DDSB parents, guardians, students, and the community members from across the district attended the Living Compendium Community Engagement Evening, held on May 18th at the Ability Center. Attendees heard about some of the actions that have been undertaken throughout the district to dismantle anti-Black racism and had an opportunity to provide feedback and ask questions. Student groups and community organizations set up tables to display their work, engaging students and supporting the Living Compendium.
Since February 2023, student volunteers and teacher advisors at Ajax High School have been busy organizing their annual Flavors of the World and Multicultural Talent Showcase for May 17th. It was a collective effort to make this magnificent night happen, with student voice and leadership at the forefront. Community members, staff, friends, and family were very impressed by the talent and passion of our students, making it a night to remember. Thanks to Madame Mavin and Madame Porco for their leadership.
The annual Future City competition recently welcomed more than 500 students in grades 7 and 8. The annual competition sees students compete in engineering and building cities of the future. The competition uses engineering design process as a framework to guide students through the creation of their cities with guidance from mentors and engineering leaders. This year, students from Prince Albert Public School had tremendous success with their design and city development. Congratulations to all those who participated in this innovative competition.
The dates of significance, as you can see, take us up to the beginning of school for the 2023-2024 school year.
Thank you to Ranjita and Ivy from Cataraqui Public School for reading this month's good news.
Thank you. As you can see, we've had many events, a lot of work that is being done in our schools. It's great to see. We're moving on to item 11, presentations. I'm going to start with the student trustee recognition. With the last board meeting of the school year, and on behalf of the entire Board of Trustees, I would like to thank our outgoing student trustees, Lauren Edwards, Gwen Hewitt, and Ben Cameron, who has been elected for a second term as student trustee for the 2023-24 school year. The work they have done this year is in advocating for and representing the interests and concerns of their peers has been exceptional. These three students truly made a difference and developed leadership skills that will last a lifetime. I would also like to welcome the student trustees' parents and family members who are joining us this evening. You must be very proud of their accomplishments and contributions. Student trustees, I would like you to invite you to join us down at the podium at this time.
Well, to start, Lauren. We'd like to express our appreciation to Lauren Edwards, the student trustee representing Brock, Scugog, and Uxbridge. Lauren's dedication and involvement in her community have been truly remarkable. As a graduating student from Uxbridge Secondary School, we are proud to announce that Lauren will be attending the University of Waterloo in the fall to pursue a degree in engineering. Her passion for her community is evident in her role as student trustee, where she has been a vocal advocate for the students' concerns. Lauren's inviting personality and her commitment to being the voice of students has made a significant impact on the Board of Trustees. We extend our heartfelt thanks to Lauren for her outstanding contributions and for being an active agent of change. And Gwen Hewitt. We would like to extend our appreciation to Gwen Hewitt, the student trustee representing Oshawa and Whitby. Gwen's passion for social justice and her advocacy for students have been truly inspiring. As a graduating student from Brooklyn High School, we are excited to announce that Gwen will be pursuing a degree in human rights and law at Queen's University. Her commitment to creating equitable and inclusive learning environments for all students has been instrumental in shaping the future of education. Gwen's passion for the arts, including literature and music, further highlights her diverse talents and interests. We thank Gwen for her exceptional work as a student trustee, for being a positive force in improving education for all. And Ben, our returning student trustee. We would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Ben Cameron, who has been serving as the student trustee representing Ajax and Pickering. Ben's dedication to Ben's dedication to policy, human rights, and being a voice for change has been truly inspiring. As he enters grade 12 next year at Dunbarton High School, we are thrilled to announce that Ben has been re-elected to a second term as student trustee. His continued commitment to the betterment of education systems is commendable. Thank you, Ben, for your outstanding work and of being an exceptional voice for students. It has been a pleasure to have the three of you around the board of this table in the past year. But for Ben, so again, it's been a pleasure to have all three of you around the board table this past year. Your insights and hard work on behalf of your fellow students have made us a better school district, and we look forward to hearing about your future accomplishments, because I know there's going to be great ones. And thank you for your leadership. And I'm going to pass the mic on to Director Camille Williams-Taylor to add a few words.
Thank you, Chair. And on behalf of the senior team, I just want to extend my thanks to the three of you. Everyone who knows me, you know I always talk about the fact that I'm a teacher and a mom. And so see how they're nodding, because I'm always a teacher and a mom. But as the director and a teacher and a mom, I do have to say that I was incredibly proud of your confidence, of your truth-telling, and of your push. Because all of us around the table, the trustees, as well as the senior team, when you ask a question, it's not just the voice of students, but you're asking us to think about the future of students. And you're asking us to think about how we respond to the needs of students. And so there's no greater voice than the voice of the people experiencing the work and the service. So on that note, not to say every question you ever asked was easy, but thank you just the same, because certainly you are an example to other students who are coming forward that their experience matters, their voice matters, and their leadership matters, as your leadership has mattered. Thank you very much, and all the best.
The next presentation will be the Chairperson Scholarship Award. A Chairperson Scholarship Fund was established by the DDSB in May of 2003 to be awarded annually by the chair of the board to a graduating student. The criteria for the award includes the applicant meeting the eligibility requirements and receiving a recommendation by their secondary school principal. A committee consisting of myself and trustees Emma Cunningham, Kelly Miller, Carolyn Morton, and Jill Thompson reviewed the nominations. The committee decided to award the Chairperson Scholarships Award for 2023 to Danielle Burnett, a student at Anderson CVI. Danielle has been involved, and Danielle's in our audience. Danielle has been involved in the Anderson community for the past 4 years. She's been a member of the student council and a leader in the community. Danielle has been part of the team that has organized food drives, bake sales, and stress relief week spirit events. She has used her leadership skills as an integral member of the Eco Club, which focuses on bringing forward environmental issues and promoting eco-friendly solutions. Danielle has an excellent has excelled academically and has successfully balanced her school workload with a wide variety of volunteer leadership work, including grade 9 orientation day, the Terry Fox barbecue, the homecoming semi-formal, and holiday hope. Outside of school, she actively coaches with the Whippy's Girls Softball Association and is a program assistant for the Whippy Figure Skating Club. She has participated in the Impact Youth Forum through Youth in Policing and is in Operation Give to help restore a local beach area. Danielle has co-organized charity events such as Go with the Flow to support a local women's shelter. As well as all of the above accomplishments, Danielle finds the time to work as a lunchroom supervisor for the special education classroom at Anderson CVI. Danielle Burnett exemplifies leadership and citizenship, making her a worthy recipient of the Chairperson Scholarship Award. I would like to invite you up to the podium, and then you also can say a few words. Danielle, I'd like to supply you with the Chairperson Scholarship Award and as well as the scholarship. And thank you for all you do.
I would like to give a big thank you to you, Donna Edwards, and everyone in this room for this amazing scholarship. It is much needed, and I will be using it towards York University, where I will be studying concurrent education because I would like to be a gym teacher as well as some type of science, whether that be environmental science or general science, and I would also like to do social sciences as well because I'm very interested in making the world a better place, however I may do that. And I would also like to go back and get my specialist in special education, as I have found my time working in in the PLP class at my school at lunch very influential in that I can work with these people in the future and make life and school easier for them and better for the future. So thank you so much for this award. I'm very grateful for it.
Thank you, Danielle. And we'll have to talk, and I know the Director of Education is going to say we have to talk. Keep in touch because you're staying locally in York University. Congratulations. We're now moving on to the third presentation, the Abilities Scholarship Award. I will ask Superintendent Andrea McCauley to speak about the Abilities Scholarship Award. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you through you, Chair. Joining us this evening to provide overview on the Ability Scholarship for 2023 is System Lead Michelle Crawford-Eade.
Through you, Chair, this evening it is my privilege to announce the 2022-2023 Ability Scholarship. The Learning Disabilities Association of Durham Region and the Durham District School Board partner to provide an annual $1,000 Abilities Scholarship Award. The Ability Scholarship recognizes a DDSB high school student who has a diagnosed learning disability and who will be continuing their studies. A committee comprised of members of the Learning Disabilities Association of Durham Region and the Durham District School Board, SEAC, reviewed the nominations to determine the recipient. The submissions this year were phenomenal, and I know it was challenging for the committee. Congratulations goes to the 2022-2023 Ability Scholarship recipient, Brianna Littman of Eastdale Collegiate. Brianna's submission highlighted her journey as a learner and shines with her energy. Her submission was a short essay highlighting how she drew on the support of school staff to achieve her success. Earlier today, Superintendent Macaulay and I attended Eastdale Collegiate to present Brianna with her award. On behalf of the Learning Disabilities Association of Durham Region and the Durham District School Board, we wish Brianna well in her post-secondary program. Thank you.
And now we're going to move on to the Parent Involvement Committee Annual Report, and I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Margaret Lazarus.
Thank you, and through you, Chair Edwards. It's my privilege tonight to welcome our PIC co-chairs, Uma Chaudhry and Jim Van Allen, who are going to present our annual PIC report, and I'm going to be up there just to turn the slides.
Sorry. Thank you, Superintendent Lazarus, and good evening. We are pleased to be with you tonight to share the Parent Involvement Committee's annual report. My name is Uma Chaudhry.
And my name is Jim Van Allen.
We are co-chairs of the Parent Involvement Committee and will be presenting the annual Parent Involvement Committee report on behalf of the Parent Involvement Committee. The Parent Involvement Committee's primary goal is to provide the Durham District School Board with information and advice to help engage parents across the district by undertaking activities to help parents support their children's learning at home and school. Building strong and effective partnerships with families helps children and families thrive. Tonight we will highlight key initiatives of this year's PIC: Parent Reaching Out Grant, Parent Engagement Series event, Durham Partner Symposium, Parent Engagement e-newsletters, Volunteer of Distinction, SCC training sessions. Established subcommittees were launched to support the development and implementation of each initiative, and we worked together to ensure that sessions and events offered aligned with DDSB's values and strategic direction and were responsive to parent and family needs in a post-pandemic environment.
The Ministry of Education provided approximately $75,000 in funding for our Parents Reaching Out grants to support parent engagement across the district by funding a wide range of initiatives that help parents become more involved in their child's education. 35 programs were approved, involving 38 school communities for a grand total of $75,501. A common theme for the program events was wellness and mental health, a direct correlation to the survey results that the PIC conducted with the DDSB community in the fall of 2022. Most parents indicated they wanted information and support for their children's mental health. Some of the projects involved engaging families and parents in wellness activities, supporting digital awareness and online practices at home and school, bringing families together virtually to learn about equity and diversity through arts, culture, wellness, and physical movement, events promoting human rights and Indigenous rights, and understanding and celebrating cultural roots. We held 2 virtual parent engagement series this year and focused on building our parent community's awareness and knowledge in the areas of Indigenous rights and human rights. Dr. Pam Palmater, a Mi'kmaq lawyer, discussed the myths versus facts about Indigenous rights and what it means when we say Indigenous rights are distinct. Dr. James Makokis, a Cree Two-Spirited family physician, spoke about the importance of addressing Indigenous issues in society, in media, and in schools, where the necessity to remain open to new learning. His session was a timely example of intersectional identities, our responsibility to create a just society, and the importance of utilizing Indigenous knowledge for the benefit of all people. Both events were well attended and kept the audience of parents, caregivers, and educators spellbound as they shared information and personal anecdotes that were highly relatable, easy to follow, and engaging. The feedback that we received was positive and encouraging.
The PIC also hosted the annual Durham Partners Symposium, our first in-person event post-pandemic focused on fostering resilience in children. This was an opportunity for parents, caregivers, and guardians to learn how to support their children's mental health. Our keynote speaker, Perdita Felician, was a former DDSB student, an Olympian, TV host, and best-selling author. Everyone who registered received a copy of Perdita's book, My Mother's Daughter, and she signed them too. We also had strong and engaging breakout speakers who spoke on various topics, including parenting in the age of social media, adversity and resilience, and the importance of parents' mental health and emotional well-being. In addition to our speakers, we have community partners set up booths sharing information and resources with families. Feedback from the event was beyond what could have been imagined. All the speakers and presenters were very well received. Each year, the PIC and DDSB recognize the valued work of volunteers in the fall. We recognized that volunteer opportunities have been limited throughout the 2021 and 2022 school year. To acknowledge those who accessed virtual or in-person volunteer opportunities, the PIC sent out gifts and certificates to each school so that the staff at the school could recognize their efforts at their individual elementary or secondary schools in the fall of 2022. The PIC looks forward to recognizing our volunteers for 2022-2023 at our first in-person ceremony post-pandemic this coming fall. The PIC produced 4 e-newsletters this year. These newsletters included information, resources, and strategies for parents or guardians. Some of the information shared in the newsletters included what is happening in the community, volunteer opportunities, dates of significance, celebrating our communities, as well as sharing the results from our parent survey. These were shared via multiple channels to our communities, including on our website, via our social media channels, and directly to parents via school distribution.
The PIC provided 4 training sessions this year for SCCs across the district, based on feedback received from schools. The first two sessions were held in November. The first, running effective SCC meetings, offered attendees the basics of serving on school councils, including how effective school councils prioritize and support student learning, promoting meaningful parental and community involvement, and actively seeking input from their school community. The second session, how to attract and engage members of your SCC, included suggestions on creating dynamic meetings and breaking down barriers to attending and being part of a school council. The third session, Finance 101 for SCC chairs and treasurers, was held in January, facilitated by Melissa Durward, Senior Manager of Finance, DDSB, and Sid Lashley, Internal Auditor, DDSB. The presenters gave insight into activities, equipment, and resources that school councils can utilize for fundraising and subsidy, as well as providing an overview of school budgets, block budgets, and school-generated funds. The final session was held on April 24th and focused on SCC's bylaws. This session was facilitated by Fanny Im, our in-house legal counsel, and provided an overview of bylaws as they relate to our school community. Councils. Fanny addressed questions including what are bylaws and what is their purpose? How do we create them for our SCC? How do rules of engagement and bylaws differ, if at all? In addition to the information sessions, the PIC also formed a committee which reviewed and provided insight and updates to the SCC handbook. These changes have been implemented and will be distributed to our school community councils in the fall. Well, this has been a challenging year for parents, guardians, and caregivers. As we slowly transition to more in-person activities, we are thankful that we are provided meaningful engagement opportunities for parents to assist them in supporting their children. Thank you very much for the opportunity to serve our DDSB community this past year.
And we're pleased to take questions if you have any.
Trustees, are there any questions for our PIC co-chairs?
Thank you.
I do want to say, though, I had the opportunity to participate, especially in the Durham Partners, and I can honestly say that when you talk about providing training for our SECs around providing dynamic meetings, you definitely provided with the virtual as well as meetings here, very dynamic meetings. You're a role model, and thank you for all what you do in leading our parents and developing these workshops and providing the information that they need for a successful year for students. Thank you again. Moving on to item 12, recommended actions. Item 12A is the report from Trustee Christine Thatcher on the Standing Committee of June 5th.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. And my report can be found on pages 43 to 49. I move that the board now receive the minutes and adopt any resolutions from the June 5th, 2023 Standing Committee meeting.
Okay, I have a mover on the floor from Trustee Thatcher. May I have a seconder for the Trustee Cunningham? Any comments at this point in time? All those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the consideration of the 2023-24 draft budget. I will call upon Associate Director David Wright.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and through you. At the Education Finance Committee meeting on June 7th, committee members unanimously recommended that the Board of Trustees approve the 2023-2024 draft budget as presented, and that the 2023-2024 in-year deficit elimination plan be approved as presented. The draft budget book remains unchanged from that meeting, and it is included in your package beginning on page 53. The recommendations we're hoping for are included in the report in section 8, and we'd be happy to answer any questions through you. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm going to call and find our Finance Chair, Chair Morton, to make any comments around the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. In our report, in our analysis, you will see that we have provided you with the budget, with the in-year deficit elimination plan, and public meetings minutes. We are finalizing our budget process to meet the ministry's end of June deadline. Many boards are experiencing funding pressures, and one-third of school boards in Ontario have indicated that they are operating with a deficit situation for the following year. So we are not alone. I would be happy to put forward the recommendation, and I ask, would you like that in one motion or two?
That's wholly up to you, but two works.
Two will work. The first one, that the 2023-2024 draft budget containing total revenues of $1,050,743,433 and total expenses of $1,050,743,433 be approved as presented.
Actually, I kind of it would probably make sense to put both of them together as one relies on the other when,
I
Trustee
will
Morton.
carry on. The second part of that motion would read like this, that the 2023-2024 draft in-year deficit elimination plan outlined in section 4.2 be approved as presented.
Thank you. I have that motion on the floor. May I have a seconder for that? Trustee Miller. And then we're moving on to comments, and I'm going to student trustee Ben Cameron.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to thank staff for the great job, the very excellent job that they have done developing this budget with what they had. However, I am deeply dissatisfied with the resources and the funding that we have received from the provincial government, whether it be not keeping up with inflation, cutting our Indigenous education grant nearly in half, continuing to not give us enough funding to sufficiently fund special education programs, eliminating the COVID Learning Recovery Fund, or not keeping funding increases consistent with statutory benefit increases. The list goes on. Our students deserve better, and so I won't be voting for this budget. Thank you, and could I request a recorded vote, please?
Thank you, student trustee Ben Cameron. We going on, is anybody else wish to speak before I go back to trustee Morton on the budget? Okay, trustee Morton.
A brief recognition. Thank you, student trustee Ben, for thanking our staff, but I want to recognize those staff who are in attendance tonight. We have Jennifer Machin. We have Melissa Durwood. And in the back row back here, we have Lisa Bianca. Thank you to all of you for your tremendous efforts. We greatly appreciate all the work that you do on our behalf. Thank you.
And all I can say is I can echo student trustee Ben's comments around the budget, but I won't. So I have a motion in front. I have a first and seconder. All those in favor? Oh, yes, I'm sorry. It is a recorded vote. Sorry. Recording secretary Kathy Fitzpatrick, if you could please call the vote.
Through you, Chair, I will now call the recorded vote. Trustee Arsenault?
In favor.
Trustee Brown?
In favor.
Trustee Cunningham?
In favor.
Trustee Linton absent. Trustee Miller?
In favor.
Trustee Morton?
In favor?
Trustee Oakville?
In favor.
Trustee Panelo?
Abstain.
Trustee Stone is absent. Trustee Thatcher? Oh. Trustee Stone?
Abstain.
Trustee Thatcher?
In favor.
Trustee Thompson?
Abstain.
Chair Edwards?
In favor.
We'll now call the non-binding vote with the student trustees. Student trustee Cameron?
Not in favor.
Student trustee Edwards?
Not in favor.
Student trustee Hewitt?
Opposed.
We have 8 in favor, 1 absent, 3 abstain. The non-binding vote, we have 3 no.
Thank you. That motion carries. And I understand as there are people not wanting to vote in favor, unfortunately, we have to follow the Ministry of Education rules and pass a budget. If we don't pass a budget, then we are neglecting our position as a role as a board to not pass a budget. But do recognize all the concerns that student trustee Ben Cameron has raised. Moving on to item C, which is the Inclusive Student Service Special Education Plan. I will call upon Superintendent Andrea McCulley to speak to the Special Education Plan.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. The purpose of this report, which begins on page 104 of tonight's agenda, is to seek approval from the Board of Trustees to adopt the DDSB Inclusive Student Services Special Education Plan for the 2023-2024 school year. The plan was presented to trustees as draft on June 5th for information and feedback. The Inclusive Student Services Special Education Plan is posted publicly on the DDSB website. Feedback on programs and services reflected in the plan is welcomed throughout the year. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees consider the Special Education Inclusive Student Services Plan and programs for the 23-24 school year for approval.
Thank you. Do I have any questions about the plan at this point in time? Moving on to the recommendation that it can be found on page 106, can I have a motion that the Board of Trustees approve the Inclusive Student Service Special Education Plan for the year, the 2023-2024 school year? Trustee Thatcher, a seconder. Trustee Oldfield, any comments on the motion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. We also have on page 235 a recommendation regarding a membership for the Ontario Parents of Vision Impaired Children. I will call upon Superintendent Andrea McCauley to address the motion.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. The SEAC Special Education Advisory Committee received a letter of invitation from the Ontario Parents for Visually Impaired Children back in the winter, providing membership information and a nominated member. SEAC considered and did a temporary approval of that motion pending the provision of information of an alternate member, which has subsequently been provided, with both the member, the association, and the alternate all fitting within the regulations for SEAC membership. And the DDSB SEAC currently does have seat availability around the committee. I will turn it over to Trustee Oldfield to bring forward motion for consideration of board, please.
I will call upon Trustee Oldfield for the motion, the consideration of the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, I move that the board approve the SEAC recommendation that the Association of Ontario Parents of Visually Impaired Children be approved for SEAC membership, and that Charmaine Brown be the representative and Jenna Brown be the alternate.
I have a mover with Trustee Oldfield. I have a seconder, Trustee Miller. Any comments, questions? All those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to 12E, naming of a new school, unnamed Beaverton Public School. I will call upon Superintendent Aaron Elmhurst to speak upon this matter.
Good evening, and through you, Chair Edwards. The report can be found on pages 236 to 240 of your board package. The purpose of this report is to request that the Durham District School Board of Trustees select a name for the unnamed Beaverton Public School. As the chair of the naming committee for the unnamed Beaverton Public School, I was honored to work alongside the naming committee as they carefully considered the naming policy guidelines, community voice, student voice, and the vision for the school community in determining a recommended name. On behalf of the naming committee, I would like to present Beaver River Public School as a recommended name for the unnamed Beaverton Public School.
Thank you. Do I have any questions at this point in time for Superintendent? Seeing none, I'm going to, do you have a question? Okay, I was just going to say that the recommendation is for trustees. They're on page 240 for our consideration, and I'll pass it to Trustee Morton.
Firstly, I would like to thank Superintendent Erin Elmhurst for her work on this project. I would also like to thank our trustee sitting across from me, Jill Thompson, for joining us on that committee. Your contributions definitely served everyone extremely well. Thank you to both. And I'm looking at the recommendation on page 240. It is recommended that the Durham District School Board trustees select the recommended choice by the naming committee, Beaver River Public School, as the official name of the new unnamed Beaverton Public School in Beaverton, Ontario.
Thank you, Trustee Morton. May I have a seconder? Trustee Arsenault. Any comments or questions around the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. I refer trustees to item 12F as the consideration of the Integrity Commissioner's findings. And I am going to pass this over to Council Cotter to speak about the process. Thank you.
Thank you, and through you, Chair Edwards. The report for this item commences on page 241 of your package. The board has received a report from the Integrity Commissioner. That report starts on page 246 of your package. So I've delivered a covering report for that, just setting out the board's obligations under the board's Code of Conduct and under the Education Act. And I can summarize those briefly, and then, of course, happy to answer any questions you may have. I guess the first point to make is that under the Education Act and under the board's Code of Conduct, the Board of Trustees must make its own determination as to whether there's been a breach or breaches of the Code of Conduct. So the board is to review and consider the report of the Integrity Commissioner, and then it's to make its own determinations. Assuming there's a determination of breach or breaches, the board is then to consider sanction. There are only 3 potential available sanctions. Those are set out at page 242 of the report. The available sanctions are to censure the member, to bar the member from attending all or part of a meeting of the board or a meeting of a committee of the board, and thirdly, to bar the member from sitting on one or more committees of the board for a period of time specified by the board. If there's a finding of breach by the board tonight, then written notice of that finding must be provided to the trustee, and the trustee would have 14 days to make written submissions. If written submissions are made, the board must reconvene within 14 days of receipt of those submissions to reconsider the findings based on the written submissions received from the trustee. So this is the first meeting. If there are written submissions, there will be a second meeting. The Integrity Commissioner's findings of breach are set out at pages, the analysis and findings can be found at pages 32 through 35 of the report. I'm just going to pull up which in the agenda package. So the analysis starts on page 32 or page 277 of the package, and goes over and includes the conclusions all the way to the end of the report at page 283. There is also an addendum, but that's the recommendations of findings and of sanctions from the Integrity Commissioner. As with the findings, same goes for the sanctions. The Integrity Commissioner can recommend sanction, and the Integrity Commissioner has. But again, it's for the board to make its own determination based on its review of the report. The On page 244 of the package, section 6, I've tried to summarize the two findings the board would make tonight. The board, of course, is free to consider those issues in another way. They could break those considerations apart, but they certainly have to consider whether the social media activity that's included in the Integrity Commission report constitutes a breach or breaches of the code and the sections of the code that are engaged. The report under section 6, what the determination is to breach would involve a consideration of whether Trustee Stone, by virtue of the social media activity reproduced in the report, breached the code of conduct. On page 244, there's a reference to pages 5 through 9 of the Integrity Commissioner's report. However, it may be more appropriate to reference pages 32 through 35 of the Integrity Commissioner's report. The pages 5 through 9 include a more comprehensive review of social media activity, but the analysis on page 32 through 35 inclusive does not include all the activity that's referenced at pages 5 through 9. So I think it may be more appropriate for the board to consider the social media activity that is referenced in the analysis at pages 32 through 35. I've attached to the report a chart summarizing the process and timeline. That's Appendix B, and I've also included the relevant sections of the Education Act as Appendix C to the report. So subject to any questions you may have, that is sort of the covering report, and the key report, which is the report from the Integrity Commissioner, begins at page 246 of the package, and that is for your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. So trustees, you have a report in front of you, and as Council Patrick Cotter said, that we have the board, it has to determine on its own whether Trustee Stone, by virtue of her social media activity, basically breached several sections of the code. And in the report, it does mention 6.3, 6.4, 6.8, 6.11, and 6.44 of the Code of Conduct. I am going to pass this to Trustee Deb Oldfield.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Having reviewed the findings of the Integrity Commissioner report in the May 26, 2023 report, that Trustee Stone, through a number of different actions, breached sections 6.3, 6.4, 6.8, 6.11, 6.44 of the Code of Conduct. I move that this board find that Trustee Stone has breached all those sections of the Code of Conduct.
I have a motion on the floor. May I have a seconder? Trustee Pinello seconds this. A discussion on the motion.
I'd like to ask for a recorded vote when it comes to that, too.
Okay, well, it'll be a recorded vote when we get there. At this time, I'm just asking questions on the motion, comments, questions on the motion in front of us. Seeing none at this point in time, I will ask for a recording secretary, Kathy Fitzpatrick, to call the recording vote, both binding and non-binding. Thank you.
Through you, Chair, I will now call the recorded vote. Trustee Arsenault? Trustee Brown?
Abstain.
Trustee Cunningham?
In favor.
Trustee Linton is absent. Trustee Miller?
Abstain.
Trustee Morton?
In favor?
Trustee Oldfield?
In favor.
Trustee Panelo?
In favor.
Trustee Thatcher?
In favor.
Trustee Thompson?
In favor.
Chair Edwards?
In favor.
We'll now call the non-binding vote for the student trustees. Student trustee Cameron,
In favor.
student trustee Edwards,
In favor?
student trustee Hewitt,
In favor.
we have 8 in favor, 2 abstain, and 3 student trustees in favor.
That motion carries. Now that we've had, the board has determined a breach, it is at this point in time that board shall determine the appropriate sanctions. And again, a reminder of what the sanctions are: a censure of the member, barring the member from attending all or part of meetings of the board or meeting of a committee of the board, barring the member from sitting on one or more committees of the board for a period of time specified by the board. I will go to Trustee Oldfield.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Having given consideration to the fact that this is not the first time this board has found itself having to deal with breaches of the Code of Conduct by Trustee Stone, but also taking into consideration the fact that we know that Bill 98, although not passed in terms of dealing with sanctions, but we do know that, where the ministry has turned its mind to. I move that this board censure Trustee Stone, also bar Trustee Stone from attending all of the September 18th, 2023 board meeting, and in addition, bar Trustee Stone from sitting on all committees of the board from September 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024, which equates to 2 months, which is 1 month less than what Bill 98 actually allows us as a maximum, but 2 months for each breach of the Code of Conduct. And I also ask for a recorded vote on this as well.
All right, so we have a motion in front of us. I need a seconder before we discuss the motion. Can I have a seconder? Trustee Pinello? So the motion on the floor is to provide the following sanctions for Trustee Stone as censure, barring Trustee Stone for the September 18th, all of the September 18th board meeting, and barring Trustee Stone from participating in all committee meetings from September 1st to 2023 to June 30th, 2024. That's a motion in front of you. Any comments? Student Trustee Ben Cameron.
Thank you. I think the Integrity Commissioner laid out very clearly and well the breaches of the Code of Conduct and how they apply, and I think that Trustee Oldfield's reasoning was sound. Thank you.
Any other comments this time? Trustee Pinello.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, I'll echo Student Trustee Cameron's comments. I will also say that as this board has previously found breaches, I do think that it's very important that we are cognizant, especially during Pride Month, of the harm that we can inflict on already marginalized groups of people and the obligation that we as trustees have to protect those who are most vulnerable, as per previous student surveys whose results we have seen, that Two-Spirit and 2S LGBTQIA+ students in particular feel more at risk within these schools. So I think that we have an obligation to them, to the staff of DDSB, and also to community who will be watching and seeing whether or not we are going to hold to our Ontario human rights responsibilities. Thank you.
Any further comments, discussion? Seeing none, I will call for our record. Sorry, I didn't see you. Sorry, Trustee Thatcher.
I was just a little late. I'm just wondering, are we able to vote on the sanctions separately? Because I can agree with 2 of them, but I consider the period from September 1st to June 30th very lengthy. So I wouldn't agree with that 3rd one. So I'm just wondering, can we vote on them separately? Is that a possibility?
Yes, that is a possibility. You're basically asking to split the motion, divide the motion, sorry. So that Trustee Thatcher. Okay, so we will then do a recorded vote based on the splitting of, or the dividing of the motion. So we will vote on each of the sections separately. And just 1 second, I have to fix my screen because I messed it up. Okay, I have one question, and that's from Trustee Cunningham.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. I just wanted to get some clarity. If we are dividing the motion, I understand what I'm voting on for the first two. However, I'm not clear on if the third vote is going to be whether there is a ban from sitting on any committee meetings full stop, or if there will be an amended motion to how many meetings should be missed.
And that's will be the discussion when that section comes forward, that particular part of the motion comes forward, we'll have that discussion on that. So as I said, we'll be treating them individually, so at this point in time. Okay, and I'm assuming that we wanted a recorded vote for all three basically division of the motion. So the first one, motion that is forward is for the Board of Trustees to censure Trustee Stone. And the recorded vote, I'll start with Recording Secretary Kathy Fitzpatrick, please.
Through you, Chair, I will now call the recorded vote. Trustee Arsenault? Abstain. Trustee Brown?
Abstain.
Trustee Cunningham?
In favor.
Trustee Miller?
Abstain.
Trustee Morton?
In favor?
Trustee Oldfield?
In favor.
Trustee Panelo?
In favor.
Trustee Thatcher?
In favor.
Trustee Thompson?
In favor.
Chair Edwards?
In favor.
We'll now go to the non-binding vote with the student trustees. Student trustee Cameron?
In favor.
Student trustee Edwards?
In favor.
Student trustee Hewitt?
In favor.
We have 7 in favor, 3 abstain, and 3 student trustee in favor.
That motion carries. Moving on to the second of the motion is that the Board of Trustees recommend that Trustee Linda Stone be banned from all of the board meeting of September 18th.
Through you, Chair, I'll now call the recorded vote. Trustee Arsenault? Oppose. Trustee Brown?
Abstain.
Trustee Cunningham?
In favor.
Trustee Miller?
Oppose.
Trustee Morton?
In favor?
Trustee Oldfield?
In favor.
Trustee Panelo?
In favor.
Trustee Thatcher?
In favor.
Trustee Thompson?
In favor.
Chair Edwards?
In favor.
Student trustee Cameron?
In favor.
Student trustee Edwards?
In favor.
Student trustee Hewitt?
In favor.
We have 7 in favor, 2 no, 1 abstain, and the student trustees are all in favor.
That motion carries. Moving on to the third motion was that, and I make sure I have this correct, that Trustee Stone be barred from all committee meetings from the period of September 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2024. Is that correct? Okay, so that is what the motion is. That is on the table. And so this is where people can ask their questions around that motion. And I'm starting, or questions or comments, and I'm starting off with Student Trustee Ben Cameron.
Chair Edwards, could I just interject quickly through you? The motion does not track the language in the section directly. The language is to bar the member from sitting on one or more of the committees, so you may wish to revisit how the motion is worded. I think the intention is that it does track the language in the Education Act, but so I flag that for your consideration.
Okay, so then as far as that, that the Board of Trustees recommend that Trustee Stone be barred from sitting on, and in this case, as we're talking all committees, it says one or more, so all committees of the board for the period of September 1st, 2023 to January 30th, 2024. That's the motion that we are discussing at this point in time. And so I had on the list Student Trustee Ben Cameron.
Thank you, Chair. It seems to me like there is not an appetite for going until June 31st, so I will suggest a motion to amend that to March 31st.
As we have a suggested motion from a student trustee, if somebody wishes to take that on, please signal the chair. We have Trustee Emma Cunningham.
I'm always happy to put forward motions from student trustees, so I'll put that on the floor.
So the motion that is to amend the end date to be March 31st, 2024. That's the motion on the amendment is on the table to the end date of the barring of the committee meetings is March 31st, 2024. I need a seconder for that amendment. Trustee Oldfield? Okay, that's seconder. Now we are just discussing the amendment of the end date. Any questions or comments? Just process-wise, because it's all recorded, do I have to record the amendment as well? I don't believe so. Yeah.
I think it is being, through you, Chair Edwards, it is being dealt with as a separate motion, the amendment.
Yeah.
So I think if it's to be recorded, somebody should request. If there's no request, I think you can just go by show of hands.
And thank you for that input. Trustee Pennell, will comment on the amendment as far as the end date is concerned.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, I'll just say that while I was more closely aligned with the original, either way, I think this is certainly an important, whether it's amended to be shortened by a couple months or not. Either way, if this was split up into individual findings of breach, we would have the max of 90 days for each and every breach. So either way, the time frame seems reasonable, and certainly I think that when you have very blatant findings of human rights violations, that this is at the very least something that we can do. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Pennell. Okay, we're Student Trustee Ben Cameron.
I would like to request a recorded vote on the amendment.
On the amendment? Okay, we are at the request for the recorded vote on the amendment of just the end date. So we are striking out the June 30th, 2024, and we are adding in March 31st, replacing it with March 31st, 2024. And we will call the recorded vote. Recording Secretary Kathy Fitzpatrick, please.
Through you, Chair, I will now call the recorded vote. Trustee Arsenault?
I oppose.
Trustee Brown?
I abstain.
Trustee Cunningham?
Abstain.
Trustee Miller?
Abstain?
Trustee Morton?
Opposed?
Trustee Oldfield?
In favor.
Trustee Panelo?
In favor.
Trustee Thatcher?
In favor.
Trustee Thompson?
In favor.
Chair Edwards?
In favor.
I will now call the non-binding vote for student trustees. Student trustee Cameron?
In favor.
Student trustee Edwards?
In favor?
Student trustee Hewitt?
In favor.
We have 5 in favor, 2 no, 3 abstain.
That motion is defeated. So we are all now back to our original motion, which is, at this point in time.
Sorry, Chair Edwards,
Yes.
Just to return to the recorded vote, Recording Secretary Fitzpatrick, I think you indicated there were 5 in favor. There were 5 in favor of that the motion to amend the date. There were 5 in favor, 2 opposed. So I think the motion to amend the date has carried, would be my recommendation.
Just to clarify, Council Cotter, how abstentions are accounted, because they're still part of the original vote as far as they count towards the quorum of the vote.
Yeah, how many abstentions were there? Sorry, yeah, fair point.
3 was as such abstentions.
Correct, that defeated.
Thank you. So that motion is defeated, so we're going back to the original motion on the floor, which is that the Board of Trustee bar Trustee Linda Stone from sitting on all committees of the board. Sorry. Student Trustee Ben Cameron.
Thank you. I'm just wondering if someone would be able to cite that rule, because I feel like abstentions are counted as not a vote. It doesn't count towards the total. That's kind of what the abstention is. So I'm wondering if in Robert's rules, in our bylaws, where we might be able to find that.
I'm just pulling it up now. Just give me 1 minute, please.
We're just going to take a brief recess while we confer with our bylaws. Thank you.
look through the bylaws. While the bylaws do indicate that the votes to be counted by members present and voting, they're silent on, they don't indicate that an abstention, how abstention is treated. If we look to Robert's rules, that would say that abstentions are a non-vote, so they wouldn't count as a no vote. So they are treated as a non-vote. So we then would, reduce the number of votes counted. So we're counting 7 votes to determine the majority.
So in that case, because we had a 5 and 2, then that motion carries.
That's correct.
All right, thank you for that clarification. So that was the amendment. The motion carries. So now we are voting on the motion that the Board of Trustees recommend, barring Trustee Stone, from sitting on all committees of the board for the period of time of September 1st, 2023 to March 31st, 2024. And that is a recorded vote. So I will again call on Recording Secretary Kathy Fitzpatrick to call the vote. Are there any questions at this point in time? Just a sec. We have some questions before I call the vote. Okay, you would like the motion to be repeated? Okay. The motion is that we recommend that the Board of Trustees bar Trustee Stone from sitting on all committees of the board for the period of time of September 1st, 2023 to March 31st, 2024. That is the motion. Any other comments? We're clear on what we're voting on? Yes? Okay, now I will call the recorded vote. We start off with Trustee Arsenault.
Oppose.
Sorry. I'm calling the vote, sorry. Kathy, could you please call the vote? Thank you.
Through you, Chair, I'll now call the recorded vote. Trustee Arsenault?
Oppose.
Trustee Brown?
Abstain.
Trustee Cunningham?
In favor.
Trustee Miller?
Oppose.
Trustee Morton?
Opposed?
Trustee Oldfield?
In favor.
Trustee Panelo?
In favor.
Trustee Thatcher?
In favor.
Trustee Thompson?
In favor.
Chair Edwards?
In favor.
I'll now call the non-binding vote with the student trustees. Student Trustee Cameron?
In favor.
Student Trustee Edwards?
In favor.
Student Trustee Hewitt?
In favor.
We have 6 in favor, 3 no, 1 abstain. The student trustees all voted in favor.
That motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to item G, recommendations from the Governance and Policy Committee meeting. I'm going to call upon Chair of the Governance and Policy Committee, Trustee Tracy. Sorry. Oh, no, Emma's that thing is after this. Yeah, sorry. This is the call upon the Chair of the Governance and Policy Committee to give us a summary of the recommendations.
Through you, Chair Edwards, moving to agenda item 12G, recommendations from the May 24th, 2023 Governance and Policy Committee meeting. The committee brings forward the following recommendations. 1. Rescission of recognition of long service and retirement of employee policy and regulation as set out on pages 291 to 298 of the package. 2. Rescission of contests in art sponsored by outside agencies, policy and regulation as set out at pages 299 to 303 of the package. Also, the revised French instruction policy as set out on page 304 to 318 of the package. We also have the revised consolidated bylaws as set out on pages 319 to 359 of the package. And the revised board member code of conduct as set out on page 360 to 384 of the package.
Okay, so we have a series of basically policy and bylaw changes that have been recommended by the Governance Committee. With the consent of trustees, I will ask to consider items G 1 to 3 together, and these are the items passed with little or no concerns of the Governance and Policy Committee of May 24th. Again, it's the will of the board. If they wish to, they could have one motion to basically rescind the recognition of long service and retirement employee policy and regulation, as well as the contest in arts sponsored by outside agency and policy and regulation, and the revision of the French instruction policy, including a name change to the French program policy. If the trustees do not wish to do that, and they want, we can consider them one at a time. Again, I'm at the will of the board on how you want to deal with these amendments and changes and rescissions of policies, but that's just what I'm asking at this point in time. Trustee Brown.
Thank you, Chair Edwards. I would like to move that we move all three recommendations and rescission of the policies and regulations of all three.
And the revision of the French policy?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So we have that motion on the floor. May I have a seconder? Trustee Thatcher, any questions or comments regarding that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. Moving on to the revised consolidated bylaws. Again, recommendations for the March 29th, 2023 Governance and Policy Committee were considered at the May 15th board meeting. Most of the amendments were adopted at that meeting. However, sections 5.13.5 and 5.13.15 were referred back to the Governance Committee to consider significant public input and board discussion. At the May 24th Governance and Policy Committee meeting, revisions to the language in sections 5.13, 5 and 5.13.15 and related sections were made. And the table that you can find in your report, in Table 1, has a summary of the recommended changes. All of these proposed changes have received much discussion at the governance, and I'm proposing that we consider, again, all the proposed changes in sections 5.13.5, 5.13.14, 5.13.15, and 5.13.16 together, unless a trustee wants to pull out a particular section. If a trustee requests to pull a section, we will consider and vote on each section separately. Again, it's at the will of the board. Trustee Stone.
I'm requesting they're done separately.
Okay, thank you. Then we will move on and we will look at the sections by section, and just let me pull out my paperwork here. All right, so the first section is section 5.13.5, and the summary of the revisions of the consolidated bylaw can be found on, starting on page 320. So we will be dealing with section 5.13.5. The amendments there are listed there. Can I have a motion to, whatever, again, the will of the board to pass, to approve the amendments to the bylaw for section 5.13.5? Trustee Pinello, seconded by Trustee Oldfield. Questions and comments? Trustee Stone.
Thank you. I'd like you to please, I have a few questions. The beginning, consider whether the proposed presentation would be consistent. Could you please tell me what you mean by consistent?
Could you please tell us what section you're reading from? Which?
Well, it's section 5.13.5C. Consider whether the proposed presentation would be consistent with the board's commitments, etc.
Again, it's based on the consistent with the human rights policies, all the policies, et cetera, that we're responsible, the Education Act, the Ontario Human Rights Code, the board's human rights policy, and the board's Indigenous education policy. That's where we're looking at would be consistent with those policies.
So, a presentation coming forward around universal bathrooms, would that be consistent?
It depends on the question of the presentation.
So the presentations that may come up that were in keeping with the questions that we've just had recently at some of the board meetings, would those be consistent? Would parents be able to make presentations regarding books, bathrooms, etc., that they have been concerned about?
Again, it depends on how the questions are framed and how the questions, as far as the presentations are put forward. And again, it's a case-by-case scenario that we would have to look at the presentations. It's not right off the bat that we eliminate subjects. And as far as that's concerned, we have to look at it case-by-case and presentations case-by-case.
So it says further on, if two or more trustees are concerned about the denial of a proposal, etc., why do we not just bring that to the board and ask for a seconder? Why are you saying two or more trustees?
Again, it was just as far as if two trustees are word that we have two people that are concerned on the board that would be brought forward.
So if we have one person concerned, they have to find another person? How is that going to work exactly? Just one person, I guess that's it. So why two? It's arbitrary.
It's any two people on the board.
I know, it's an arbitrary number. Why is it two?
This is the proposed amendments that were made by the sessions around the board. And so all I can say is that at the proposed amendments, there are two. If you want to make that change, you can ask for amendment of the changes at this time, Trustee Stone.
So I'd like to make a motion.
A proposed amendment.
No, I'm making a motion on something else. I'd like to make a motion that all presentations, whether denied or not, be sent to all trustees.
That's already considered further in the actual proposed amendments, Trustee Stone. I'm going to move on to Student Trustee Cameron at this point in time.
Thank you, Chair. I would just like to start by saying that human rights and our policies are not optional. And I think that what we have in this bylaw strikes a good balance, as was just said, that trustees are going to receive presentations even if they're not shown publicly, and it provides a good pathway for trustees to bring their concerns to the board about a presentation that they might want to show. Yeah, thank you.
Trustee Cunningham?
Thank you, and through you, Chair, I also think this is a strong amendment. I like that it forces us to uphold our rights, our duties rather, under the Education Act and the Ontario Human Rights Code. But I do like that there is an opportunity for people to challenge a decision that they may not agree with. So I do like that there is an option there for us to move forward with in a situation where we may not agree with the chair. So I think this is a strong amendment, and I definitely support it.
Thank you. Do I have any further comments before I go to your second time on a discussion on this, Trustee Stone? Trustee Stone.
Well, I don't know why it's my second, because you cut me off from the first one, so this is still my first speaking on this. I'd like to make an amendment that it's not 2 or more trustees, that it's 1 trustee concerned. They can bring it to the board with a motion.
So we have a proposed amendment to the amendments that are here on the bylaw to replace the 1 trustee from 2 trustees to 1 trustee. I need a seconder on that amendment, please. A seconder on that amendment, please. Seeing no seconders, that amendment won't be considered. We're back to the original motion of basically passing section 5.13.5 based on the proposed amendments in that section as listed in your report. Any other further comments?
Yes.
This will, as far as this will be your second comment on this. Sorry, I've got Trustee Kelly Miller who's got a comment because she hasn't spoken on the motion prior to you. Trustee Miller.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to clarify in section C, the section where it says, provided there is 2/3 majority to have the motion debated, the chair will declare the motion to be on the floor and is debatable. So is, for the sake of debate, is that at the next following board meeting, or will that be at the current meeting?
I can jump in, Chair Edwards, if you like.
It does say next meeting, but I'll pass it on to Councillor Cotter.
Sorry, could you repeat what you said?
It does say next meeting in the language. On the language down, it says a motion may be brought to the next board meeting of the board for consideration of the presentation.
Yeah, I'm not seeing where you're getting that. Once it's brought to the board, and if there's a 2/3 majority, it's on the floor at that meeting. Yeah, but I think what it means is it doesn't, not the meeting where the presentation is denied, like, it's got to come to a board meeting is the point. But once 2 or more trustees bring it to the board meeting, and there's 2/3 majority support for it, it can be dealt with. There's really, the language around next board meeting is a little bit redundant, but I think the point is you can't wait 3 months. It's meant to be brought at the next meeting so that the issue's fresh for trustees.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Any other questions? Trustee Pinello.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, I'd just like to call the question.
Is there anybody else that has not spoken to this motion before we call the question? I'd just like to give that opportunity. Seeing none, okay, we're going to call the question on section 5.13.5 as far as to approve the amendments as stated in the report for section 5.13.5. Trustee Stone?
Like a recorded vote?
And we have a call for a recorded vote. I'm going to Recording Secretary Kathy Fitzpatrick to call the recorded vote, both binding and non-binding.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, I'll call the recorded vote. Trustee Arsenault?
In favor.
Trustee Brown?
In favor.
Trustee Cunningham?
In favor.
Trustee Miller?
In favor?
Trustee Morton?
In favor?
Trustee Oldfield?
In favor.
Trustee Panelo?
In favor.
Trustee Stone?
Opposed?
Trustee Thatcher?
In favor.
Trustee Thompson?
In favor.
Trustee Chair Edwards?
In favor.
Student Trustee Cameron?
In favor.
Student Trustee Edwards?
In favor?
Student Trustee Hewitt?
In favor.
We have 10 in favor and 1 no. We have 3 student trustees in favor.
That motion carries. Moving on to section 5.13.14, as listed in your package. Can I have a motion to approve the amendments made to on the consolidated budget for section 5.13.14? Trustee Thatcher, a seconder. Trustee Brown. Any comments or questions about section 13.14? Questions about that motion, those changes? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? That motion carries. Moving on to then section 5.13.15. Again, within your package, the amendments are there to you for your consideration. I would ask for a motion to approve the amendments. Trustee Cunningham, seconder Trustee Brown. Any comments or questions regarding section 5.13.15? Trustee Stone.
Again, I would like to know how you're going to make this decision on questions that are coming up. How will you decide whether or not a question is acceptable or not? Because in my view, these changes are an approach to control what comes forward. If you don't like the question, you're not going to accept it. So could you please explain to me how you're going to make this decision?
Again, we would be looking at, and it's not done in isolation when it comes to these presentations and the questions that come to the board, that they are consulted with staff and around the Human Rights Code, the Board Education Act, the Ontario, the Board's Human Rights Code, the Indigenous Education Policy and Procedures. So again, that's how it's determined. And again, it's on a case-by-case basis, as you saw some of the questions that were presented today. Any other questions? Comments? Seeing none? Then I'm going to, yes, Trustee Stone?
Just calling for a recorded vote.
Okay, we have going forward with a recorded vote. Again, I ask Recording Secretary Kathy Fitzpatrick to call the recorded vote.
Through you, Chair, I will now call the recorded vote. Trustee Arsenault?
In favor.
Trustee Brown?
In favor.
Trustee Cunningham?
In favor.
Trustee Miller?
In favor.
Trustee Morton?
In favor?
Trustee Oldfield?
In favor.
Trustee Panelo?
In favor.
Trustee Stone?
Opposed?
Trustee Thatcher?
In favor.
Trustee Thompson?
In favor.
Trustee Chair Edwards?
In favor.
Student Trustee Cameron?
In favor.
Student Trustee Edwards?
In favor.
Student Trustee Hewitt?
In favor.
We have 10 in favor, 1 no, and 3 student trustees in favor.
That motion carries. Moving on to the next section, which is section 5.13.16. The following procedure applies to public question period. Again, I need a motion to approve the amendments to section 5.13.16 of the consolidated bylaw. Trustee Thompson, Trustee Brown, questions or comments? Seeing no questions or comments, I'm going to call the vote. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? That motion carried. All right, now we are moving on to the revisions to the Code of Conduct. The proposed changes to section 6.44 through 6.48 and 6.5 of the Board Code of Conduct was reviewed and approved at the May 24th Governance and Policy Committee meeting. As this was previously discussed and approved at the Governance and Policy Committee, at the will of the board, I am asking for one motion again, a motion to approve all the revisions to the board member code of conduct as recommended by the Governance and Policy Committee and noted in Appendix B of the report. If this trustee should want to pull out a section, we will consider and vote upon the requested sections separately.
Chair Edwards, if I may, and through you,
Yeah.
if we look at the changes that are set out at page 369, and I have had an opportunity to review the minutes from the Governance and Policy Committee meeting, there is an error on page 369 that I'd like to correct. So this was the version that was presented to the Governance and Policy Committee meeting, but the committee amended it. So if you take a pen, you would strike out 6.48, that's deleted in its entirety, as is the paragraph marked 6.49. Those are both deleted in their entirety. The long paragraph in between those two paragraphs is included in the amendments. Other than that, the amendments set out on page 369 are correct, but those changes were made at the committee meeting and were not reflected in the attachment to the report, so our apologies for that. But 6.48 would be deleted, 6.49 would be deleted, and the large paragraph between them is included.
Okay, we're going to have to renumber these things as well, from what I can see, in order to...
I think the numbering's fine. That large paragraph in the middle, Chair Edwards, would be 6.48.
All right. So just for clarification, 6.48 on page 369 has been deleted in its entirety, and 6.49 has also been deleted in its entirety. And 6.48 becomes the big paragraph in between. So again, I'm at the will of the board whether to consider all the proposed amendments for the code of conduct, or whether we want to pull them out one at a time. Trustee Cunningham.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, I would like to put forward a motion that we approve all the recommended changes by the Governance Committee.
In the code of conduct. Okay, thank you. I have a seconder, Trustee Brown. Comments and questions about the sections. Okay, Trustee Stone.
So you're talking about just the social media section at this point?
That is the sections that have been changed, yes.
Not the discreditable conduct at this point?
It's also talking about 6.5. We talked about that if we're going to do all the changes, 6.5 and 6.51.
You're doing it all together?
Yes, unless, and we've got a motion on the floor to consider it all together, and it was been seconded. Trustee Miller.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. I would just like clarification on which the bylaw that we're proposed to keep and which one is the one struck out. As far as I understood, Section 6.48 that is currently struck out was the one that we were going to refer to as the policy that's in the consolidated bylaws. I'm just not clear in if this 6.48, the one that's currently struck out, is the one that we are including.
Yes, that is correct. So what is numbered 6.48 is struck. What is numbered 6.49 is struck. That large paragraph in the middle will become 6.48 and is included.
Okay, the director is going to read it.
Through you, Chair. So with the adjustment on page 369, the new 6.48 will read, if a trustee uses any social media account for campaign purposes, such account must not be created or supported by any DDSB resources and must not make any use of the DDSB logo. Such an account must be a separate campaign account for the duration of the campaign and shall include a clear statement on the account homepage indicating that the account is being used for election campaign purposes. Social media accounts used for campaign purposes must utilize personal cell phones, tablets, and/or computers. Trustee conduct on any such campaign account remains subject to the code of conduct. So that is a go. And then where it says 6.49, that is removed. Through you, Chair, does that help?
Thank you. That helps very much, I think, as far as clarification. Any other questions or comments around the changes? Student Trustee Ben Cameron.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just wondering how this might affect student trustees campaigning in the future, and if we should exempt student trustees from this, because I can imagine a student's Chromebook if being their only electronic device. So if we could maybe add language saying this section does not apply to student trustees.
I'm just give me 1 second here. I think it's unnecessary. Chair Edwards, if we look at section 6.34, it indicates election activity refers to campaigns for municipal, provincial, and federal office or campaigns on a question on a ballot. So and then it refers to 6.35 says trustees. I'm just not sure. I'm just thinking that when we're talking about campaign activity, we're talking about the trustee election that occurs in conjunction with the municipal election. So I'm just not sure. I think on that basis, we could leave it as is.
I agree at this point in time. I think it would muddy the waters if we tried to start putting in student trustee in there somewhere and stuff as well at this point in time, because it does fall under, election campaign work as well. So, okay. Where was I again? Okay, we have a motion on the floor, a second and a seconder. Any other questions at this point in time? Any further comments? No. Can I call a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Okay. Yes, Trustee Stone?
Were you just voting on all of the sections right now?
Yes, that was all of them. That was the motion. That was the that was the motion for all of the changes in that. That's what the motion was. The motion was called to call.
Did you repeat the whole motion?
I had repeated it several times, and then there was just a clarification on the one section.
No, I thought you were voting, sorry, but I thought you were voting on the motion to vote on all of the sections at the same time.
We voted on the motion.
And there were questions about separate sections.
There was a question,
about
yes.
the computer.
There was a question about the section that was deleted to clarify the ones that were being deleted, and that section was read. Then there was a question about adding whatever, but we were voting on, the vote was for all the amendments to I made it quite clear again, the motions to vote on all the sections. We're moving on to the 12H, which was the additional agenda item for approval of professional development, requested by trustee Emma Cunningham. Because this is a time-sensitive matter, I will ask trustee Cunningham to speak to this matter.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, I'd like to make a request to attend a conference for professional development. The conference is called Face It, Fight It, and it is the official launch of a sustained campaign to face, fight, and push back against one of the biggest challenges we confront today, anti-Semitism. This is a two-day conference on October 16th and 17th of advocacy training for Jewish leaders to connect on the issues facing our community today. The conference pledges to leave participants empowered to be change makers. It offers opportunities to network with other Jewish leaders as well as federal politicians and discuss the challenges facing Jews across the country. When I report back to the board, it will give us the tools that we need to both proactively and reactively address the incidences of both overt and subtle anti-Semitism faced by Jews in our community every day. From a financial perspective, the conference itself costs $475. The cost of the VIA train, were I to book at the time of writing, ranges from $260 to $400 round trip. Hotels range from $510 to $600 total for the 3 required nights. I cannot give exact figures as I cannot book until I have approval from the board and see what is available, but the range should be between $1,250 and $1,475. In light of that, I'm requesting the maximum allowed personal development budget allotment of $1,000, knowing that I will be topping up the extra in order to make this happen and bring back findings on how to support Jews in our community to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. So as trustee Cunningham said, as per the trustee expense policy 5.45, discretionary PD expenses need to be pre-approved by resolution of the board in a public session. And as trustee Cunningham has mentioned, that the trustee is entitled to reimbursement of a total of $1,000 per year for expenses incurred for the attendance of PD sessions and conferences, provided attendance has been pre-approved by resolution of the board in public session. And that conferences, workshops, lists that are eligible for OPSPA events that do not require pre-approval are those ones that are provided by OPSPA. What the motion we're looking forward for, I guess, is to, and again, it would be at the will of the board on how to propose that, but she has already indicated that she's going to be expending more than the $1,000. Trustee Thatcher.
I certainly fully endorse this PD session up in Ottawa for trustee Cunningham. And I believe that she's already indicated that she'll bring back a report from that 2-day session. I fully support it, and I would second the motion.
Well, there hasn't been actually a motion put on the floor. There's been she's a request, so we need a motion to be put on the floor.
Could I put that motion on the floor?
And what is the exact motion, Trustee Thatcher?
That I approve I move that Trustee Cunningham's trip around anti-Semitism to Ottawa for the 2-day session be approved for the amount of $1,000. Maximum allowed amount. Have I got it?
Of $1,000. We have a seconder, Trustee Brown. Okay, any further discussion or comments from, as far as, I think if we've got the language correct, Associate Director Wright, when it comes to the funding is concerned. Thank you. Okay, so we have a second. We've been a first and a seconder. Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Okay, opposed? That motion carries. Thank you. Okay, moving on to the information items. At their 13A, the update on the multi-year strategic plan process. I'm going to call upon Executive Lead Kathy Withrow to update us on the plan.
Thank you, and through you, Chair Edwards. As a follow-up to the update report that was presented to the April 17th board meeting, you will find attached a report beginning on page 385. In this update report, it provides details of the activities related to the development of the multi-year strategic plan over the past 3 months. You will see on page 388 of the agenda package our multi-year strategic plan roadmap, which outlines the steps and activities we are undertaking as part of the MYSP process. We are currently in phase 2 of the development process, which includes consultation and information gathering. On page 397 of the agenda package, you'll find a detailed communication plan which was officially launched in mid-May. The communication plan includes tools, strategies, and the intended audiences, and this plan will be updated as needed throughout the multi-year strategic plan process to ensure our outreach allows for maximum opportunities for feedback and engagement. The web page includes a video explaining the process, links to the survey, and other helpful documents. You'll see an example of the web page as an appendices to the report. This report also includes a consultation plan, which was developed with our consultant partners, Maximum City. You will see a robust list of consultation tools and strategies located on pages 398 to 401. The consultation plan was developed with the input from the trustees' working group sessions and the staff working group sessions. The consultation plan is a key component of phase 2 of the process and includes opportunities for both face-to-face engagement as well as online access. We also have online access to the survey. We also have provided resources to support self-directed facilitation events. The consultation plan captures opportunities for engagement with key members of our DDSB community, including students, parents, caregivers, and families, staff, and community partners that work directly to support the work of DDSB. It also includes opportunities to engage other community members that have a relationship with the board. You will find on page 402 the questions used in the online survey, as well as these are the same questions that are used during the face-to-face facilitation events. These questions were developed through the working group sessions with our Board of Trustees as well as our staff. The questions you'll notice are deliberately open-ended and are meant to encourage participants to share their experiences, values, and goals. The charts on page 389 of the agenda package include a breakdown of the number of consultations and individual responses to the survey we have received to date. We are very pleased with the overall response. Participants have been willing to engage with us and share their insights. We have received already over 2,200 responses to the online survey, and over 600 people have shared feedback at the face-to-face facilitated events. We will continue with the consultation phase over the summer months and into September with events planned. Chair Edwards, this is the update report. It is being shared with the Board of Trustees for information. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Again, this is an information item. Any questions at this time around the update for the multi-year strategic planning process? Seeing none, we're going to move on to the 2023 official enrollment projections. And I will pass this on to basically Associate Director Wright and Lisa Bianca. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and through you, it's my pleasure to welcome Lisa Bianca, Head of Facility Services, who is joining us this evening to present the report.
Great, thank you, and through you, Madam Chair. I'm here this evening to share with trustees the official enrollment projections for the 2023-2024 school year, which you will find in page 415 of your package. Facilities planning staff, in conjunction with workforce planning and business services teams, have developed the OEP for the coming school year. The OEP are used by a variety of departments and staff across the district and are used as a basis for the budget as well as to allocate staffing for the coming year. Also crucially important, the OEP are used to determine future school needs, the needs for boundary or program revisions, and where temporary accommodations, portables, are needed. We are anticipating an overall enrollment increase of 1,553 pupils, split roughly in half between the elementary and secondary panels. We continue to see enrollment exceed capacity at the elementary level and are keenly awaiting both the call for the submission of capital priorities requests from the ministry for this year, as well as the opening of 3 new schools and an addition in 2024, as well as 2 additional schools in 2026. In the meantime, we will utilize portables and all available spaces within our existing schools and facilities to accommodate our student needs. In September, staff will present the accommodation plan 2023 to 2027, trends, issues, and future opportunities, which will address current and future accommodation needs in greater detail. So thank you very much. I'm willing to take questions at any time.
Questions on the enrollment report? Enroll projections? Seeing none. Thank you so much for waiting all this time to present your report. Please know that these projections are very important and gives us a clear picture of what's going to happen in September. I appreciate all the work that you've done. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Moving on to the DDSB summer learning programs, I'm going to turn it over to Superintendent Erin Elmhurst.
Good evening again, and thank you, Chair Edwards. The report can be found on pages 431 to 439 of your board package. The purpose of this report is to provide the Board of Trustees with a summary of all Durham District School Board 2023 summer learning opportunities for students from the early years to grade 12. As we continue to work towards providing optional year-round learning opportunities for students, this year we're pleased to offer a range of differentiated and responsive programs to support student well-being, engagement, mental health, and achievement with a focus on the removal of systemic barriers. Summer learning experiences for students evolve and change on an annual basis based on ministry funding and the interests, strengths, and needs of students. This year, there's an enhanced focus in many programs on consolidating foundational literacy and numeracy skills, small group and individualized instruction to address identified learning strengths and programming support needs, addressing disproportionate access experiences, opportunities, and outcomes for communities that are discriminated against. We're focusing on collaborative learning opportunities, inclusive programming, supporting a strong connection to the learning environment, student engagement, continuity of mental health services, extended learning opportunities, and supporting the increase of student confidence and positive attitude towards learning. All programs being offered have been shared on the chart on pages 433 to 436. And as a team, we are here and happy to answer any questions trustees may have.
Questions on summer programs? Seeing none, my only comment is that it's possible to get sort of a list of some of the schools where in our areas, just in case some of the trustees would like to make arrangements to visit and see some of those programs that are in effect during the summer. There's great value of programs that are, a number of programs that are available. I just ask that on behalf of the trustees. Okay, I'm looking at the time, and so because of the time, we do have to have a motion to go past 10 o'clock. I'm asking for a motion to go till 10:30, although I think we can complete that well before then, but anyways, a motion to do that. Trustee Morton, trustee Seconder, trustee Oldfield, all those in favor? Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. The meeting is now extended to 10:30 if required. Okay, moving on to the Governance and Policy Committee report of March 29th. I will ask Trustee Brown to speak on the report.
Thank you, and through you, Chair Edwards, I'm bringing forward agenda item 13E for information. The March 29th Governance and Policy Committee meeting minutes with a very small amendment that Trustee Cunningham was actually virtual that day. And that concludes my report.
Thank you for that report, Trustee Tracy Brown. Any questions? Seeing none, we're moving on to the Special Education Advisory Committee report. I'm going to see Trustee Kelly Miller.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. The information brought forward from the SEAC committee. Firstly, the school support program, on page 450, the school support program is an intensive intervention program that provides students with specific programming to close gaps in literacy and numeracy and develop important executive functioning skills such as self-advocacy, task initiation, planning, prioritization, goal setting, and self-regulation. Across the district, we continue to experience a trend in the number of students, both exiting and new to DDSB, that require individualized programming, including functional literacy and numeracy, communication skills, and supports for activities of daily living. This has been a trend for the past few years, and it indicates a need to continue expanding the developmental and practical learning programs, particularly at the elementary level. Next focus is on the transition planning. Why is transition planning important? A transition is defined as a process of change that requires attention and flexibility and creates vulnerability and anxiety. From our youngest students to our most senior staff, we are challenged as we navigate this particular transition together. It takes layers of planning, which include well-being, mental health considerations, leveraging strengths, bolstering strategies, and supports in areas of anticipated challenge. I would like now to highlight the roles of transition and work education coordinators. The Transition and Work Education Coordinator team supports school teams in developing individual education and transitional plans for students with special education strengths and needs by implementing a student-focused approach that identifies the student goals for work, further education, and life in the community. Next, I'd like to provide some information for parents and students. A few items came up in our meeting in which parents and team members shared concerns about information. CERT, which is an e-bulletin, is information that goes out to all special education resource teachers bi-weekly. This is a wonderful way to share information and receive feedback, and it is also shared with administrators. All members of the Inclusive Student Services team contribute to this e-bulletin.
And that's all?
Now it,
Okay.
yeah, that concludes my report for the SEAC. Thank you.
Okay, any questions on the SEAC report? Seeing none, we move on to the next item, and that's the OPSPA report, and I'll pass that on to Trustee Emma Cunningham.
Thank you, and I'm actually going to pass that back to you, Chair Edwards, for the report.
Thank you. I had the privilege to attend the OPSPA AGM and workshops that were from June 8th to the 10th. Just some of the key items that we passed the terms of reference. The Board of Directors passed the term of reference for the new Black Trustees Caucus. We discussed Bill 98, financial updates, passed the annual report, which I have brought here if anybody is interested, but is also available through the OPSBO website. We received a copy of a discussion paper, which has already been forwarded to you, Beyond Knowledge, Preparing Students for the Uncertain Future. This is a discussion paper that was released in the May 2023. It was a document that has big ideas that is needed, discuss, and determine priorities for students in education. There's packages available to anybody can facilitate these, basically a discussion on using this paper. It's also available on all the tools are available on the website. Did attend, there are several other documents that were also provided, and we brought copies home around the French as second language for school for administrators, a teacher's recruitment guide for English, mobilizing knowledge for FSL labor, French language proficiency assessment for French and second language teaching, and a recruitment guide for English and language school boards. So this is available again on the website, and it's the amount of culminated work that OPSBO has been involved in and pushing and ensuring that we develop strategies to increase the number of French as second language teachers within the board. And then basically I attended several workshops and with keynote speaker, one of the keynote speakers was Carl Subban, Visioning for Success. We've had Carl here present to the board a couple of times. Mental health, governance, and human rights. And that is a short version of my report. Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none. Okay, moving on to the days, there is the days of significance, that is item 5, that is listed in your package. Item 15 is memos, and it's an update from Bill 98, a memo of Bill 98. It changes the Education Act with the effective dates have been provided. I will ask Council Patrick Cotter if he has any additional information to provide at this time, and any questions.
Thank you, and through you, Chair Edwards. Nothing additional other than what's set out in the memo. Obviously, I think the first thing we'll be waiting for is some of the regulations that will provide some details in terms of implementation, and then we'll be looking forward also to the declaration of the in-force date of some of those provisions. But happy to answer any questions trustees may have.
Any questions? And as mentioned, there are 3 regulations that have been currently posted for consultation that are due. All comments and feedback are provided before July 12th. I know that the Ontario Public School Board Policy Committee and Education Programs Committee will be meeting to discuss the OPSBO's response on those regulations. So any further questions? Seeing none. We are at the end. We've completed our adjournment, our agenda. So I move that this meeting be adjourned. Thank you.